Welcome to the Mayor of Money podcast with former Burlington Mayor Rick Goldring, CEO of Goldring Financial Leadership. In this podcast, we provide successful business owners with cutting-edge information and strategies in the areas of estate and financial planning, including wealth and risk management. The podcast also features exclusive interviews with very successful entrepreneurs that Rick has known and worked with during his career. Now, on to the show.
So with me today on the Mayor of Money podcast is Laurie Fox, who's the Willpower Campaign Director for the Canadian Association of Gift Planners. So Laurie, thank you very much for being on the Mayor of Money. I look forward to our discussion. I look forward to sharing with the Mayor of Money audience more about the Willpower campaign. But at the get-go here, I need to ask you, we've been through a challenge from March the 15th, 2020 to where we are now. How's it been for you? How have you managed personally?
I think I've done okay in comparison. I think, I'm healthy. My family's healthy. I've had my job all the way through the pandemic. I'd say probably the biggest stressor, like many parents, I have a young kid and they're trying to work and have a kid at home at the same time is not easy. So it's just kind of the stress of managing it all. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Understand it completely. I've got a couple of stepdaughters who have kids at home who it's been really a challenge at the height of it. When you're getting up, you got to get organized for the day and you have a child to look after and you got a job to do. And often you don't get a chance to do your job until after your child goes to bed, and then you're up till midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. And you can't do that for too long.
It feels ongoing, and I completely empathize with the feeling of burnout in society these days.
But in any event, welcome to the Mayor of Money. Really glad you're here. Now you're with the Canadian Association of Gift Planners. You're the Willpower Campaign Director. Before we get into Willpower, let's just talk a little bit about the Canadian Association of Gift Planners. For people that haven't heard of the CAGP, that acronym, how would you describe the Canadian Association of Gift Planners?
Well, we're a national professional association made up of charities, financial advisors, and legal professionals, everyone who touches what we call strategic gift planning, which is a really kind of wonky term, but really what it means is planning out your charitable giving. More than just giving the cash you have on hand, but planning out your giving so that you can do more. So we're the CGP, like I said, National Professional Association. We work on advocacy with the government, so making sure that there's a tax regime in place that encourages people to give and to plan out their giving. We do education with charities, professional advisors, to speak with their donors, to speak with the clients about the different ways to plan out your gift and different tax benefits. And then we also work with the public through this Willpower campaign to encourage people to give in different ways.
So we are a giving nation. Canada is a very charitable nation at heart. We like to support charities and not-for-profits that do good in our society. What percentage of Canadians contribute in some way to charitable organizations?
So there's a bunch of different stats out there to answer this question, Rick, but I think as of 2017, the latest stat from the government survey of volunteering and giving shows that over 80% of Canadians claim that they give to charity in one way or another. It's true that we are a very giving nation. Giving is in our blood. Giving and volunteering is in our blood. But this whole campaign, this whole notion of giving in a different way is a bit of a shift for us because we're used to giving, like I said, from the cash we have on hand. Someone asks us, we give, $20 here. We're at the checkout, we put $1 here. But planning out your giving a gift through your will or, through life insurance helps you do so much more. And it's a little known fact. We're just really trying to get the word out there for that.
Thus willpower.
Yeah.
So we were talking before I pressed the record button. You've been involved in this Willpower campaign for 5 years. Mind you, it just really launched in earnest, a couple of years ago? And that was a pilot project. So 5 years ago, you started digging into the Willpower campaign. The idea came from somewhere. Where did the idea for Willpower come from?
So I've been working in the charitable sector with donors for about 10, 20 years. I saw that there were a small group of people that I'd worked with who kind of caught on to the idea that they could give in different ways. And I'd work with them to, and their financial advisors or their legal advisors to plan a gift in their will. And I saw how these ordinary Canadians, and I'm talking ordinary, Rick, like these are not wealthy philanthropists. These are retired nurses, retired teachers. I saw how their eyes lit up when they saw they could give 1 to 5% of their estate to charity. And these were huge gifts, 5-figure gifts that these retired teachers would never be able to give during their lifetime. And then I also, on the other hand, saw how the charities that I was working in, they're seeing this increase in demand from an aging population, increasing immigration, environmental issues, and there wasn't enough funding to address some of these issues, some of these important issues that were taking place in Canadian society that are still taking place. And it was this matchup that me and many of my colleagues were seeing. If we could only get more Canadians to give in this different way and to give bigger, we could meet the need. We could uphold our social safety net. We could, do everything that we're trying to do to keep Canada the great country that it is.
So the idea was started. I understand that there was a similar campaign to Willpower in England or in Britain.
Yeah. So, I'm presenting this as an original idea. I think it kind of just hit on us here in Canada that this is something that we could do. And then when we started looking into it, we saw that there were actually 20 other countries around the world that were doing these kind of campaigns to encourage their population to give in a different way. They're mostly in Europe, England being the leader. And they started kind of where we are now in Canada, where only 5% of their population were leaving a gift in their will. And their campaign, it's about 20 years old now. As a result of their campaign, they're now at almost 19% of their population leaving a gift in their will. And it's increased resources to the charitable sector in the UK. And you see the results to social good in that country.
So the campaign started a pilot project, I believe, in 2020. And now you're going strong, you're going across the country when you launch. What are some of the stories you have with regard to the success of the Willpower campaigns? And you obviously are, you work with financial advisors like myself, you work with charities and not-for-profits. What are some of the stories that you've heard as a result of the campaign and people giving differently?
Yeah. It's funny, actually, the campaign started in your backyard. The pilot was in the...
That's right, Hamilton, Niagara.
Exactly, yeah. Hamilton, Niagara. And so we got some great stories from charities and advisors who had participated in the pilot program. One that jumps to mind is a homeless shelter / food shelter in the Hamilton area that through the pandemic was able to continue their response to the public because of a gift that had been left to them through someone's will. So I thought that was a really nice story. And then as far as the success of the campaign, we're starting to see an uptake, an increase in awareness in the public since the campaign launched in 2020 in Hamilton and is now launched across country in both English and French. So we saw last year through our polling that 4 million Canadians already knew about this campaign, and 1.6 million are now starting to think about leaving a gift in their will. And you hear that through stories from advisors like yourself who've had people increasingly reach out to them asking about, what can I do with my estate? How can I leave gifts to family and charity? We had a couple of charities reach out to us saying that they've had an increasing amount of donors speak to them about leaving a gift in their will. A really good story out of BC, actually. The ALS Society of BC had a gift left to them in a will that has allowed them to hire an additional researcher for ALS, and they think they're actually pretty close to curing ALS, perhaps a couple of years off, which is a big deal for such a tragic disease.
Wow, that would be amazing if the prognosis for ALS could improve, because it's such a devastating condition. That is good news. That is amazing.
And that's only one person.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the power of giving in this way, is that, one person can make this huge difference because they can make such a big contribution just by giving in a different way.
I know that I've been involved in setting up life insurance policies over the years for people that want to leave money for charity, including my wife and I. And we just set up a joint life and last to die life insurance policy that's owned by a charity. And it's not for a lot of money. It's for $150,000. But it's the amount of money we give to charity is like $4,000 or $5,000 that we give to charity every year. And of course, that's a tax deduction to us. So for $2,500, $2,600 a year net after tax costs, we're leaving $150,000 to charity upon the passing of the second one of us. And it's such a simple and elegant way to leave money to charity without it impacting the money you want to leave to your family.
It's these little tips and tricks. And I think this is especially important message for now, when we're all looking towards, is there going to be a recession in the next couple of years? And housing prices, continue to increase in certain areas of the country. People's pockets are pinched. And so this is a way to continue to enact your charitable giving in a way that doesn't affect your current finances.
Now, on your LinkedIn profile, you are the Willpower Campaign Director, but it also says opening up $40 billion in funding for charities across Canada. So that relates to the campaign in some way. Where does that $40 billion number come from?
So I mentioned at the beginning that currently the research shows that only 5% of Canadians give in this way. Only 5% of Canadians leave a gift in their will. And our goal in the next 10 years is to encourage, inspire 8.5% of Canadians to leave a gift in their will. That's kind of following that UK campaign, their trajectory. And that equals $40 billion to charity, because anecdotally, what we see in Canada is about the average gift left in a will is around $35,000. And again, these are from ordinary individuals. So if we could just get that small percentage more giving a gift in their will, that's $40 billion for causes in this country. I mean, that alone can serve the increase in demand that we're seeing and more.
I know the specific area of the tax regulations around charitable giving, you have a good working knowledge of, but some of the application, you're not a financial advisor. But I guess the point I was trying to raise here, and it may more of a statement than a question for you, is, do most Canadians realize that in Canada, we have arguably the most generous tax treatment of charitable giving anywhere in the Western world?
They don't. They absolutely don't realize this and don't take advantage of it. I think this is kind of proven by something we were talking about earlier, that very few Canadians actually claim their charitable giving on their tax receipts. A small percentage of that 80% of Canadians who say they give actually do claim the benefits that they can receive from the government. I mean, what financial advisors like you often say is that you have a choice of leaving your money to three people, or three entities rather: your family, your charity, or the government. And if you had a choice between two out of those three, which would you choose? I think most people would probably choose their family and charity. And that's what this tax regime does for people. The government set it up this way so that people can give to charity versus giving through government that would then infuse it back into the social safety net.
And that's exactly right. One can redirect money that would normally be going to the Canada Revenue Agency. You can redirect that money to your favorite charities, and without it impacting the wealth that you want to pass on to your family.
And we've actually, if people want to look into this a little bit further, we've actually got a number of articles on the Willpower website. It's willpower.ca. And you can go to the stories and resources section. And there's a lot of blog articles written by partners in the program about how you can take advantage of the tax advantages here in Canada.
So the people are going to see this podcast. They'll be aware of Willpower. What sort of advertising or marketing are they going to see once the campaign kicks off for this year?
Yeah, the campaign kicks off in September. So, we go every year with a campaign. Likely the people who've seen this podcast have seen some of the ads from last year on their social media feeds. But in September, you'll start seeing some videos, some messages on Facebook and Instagram. And what we've got this year actually is a new online estate planning seminar. It's a 20-minute webinar that kind of takes people through some of the main questions they have about giving this way and how they can take advantage of the tax advantages, for example. All of these are available on our website, again, www.willpower.ca, with some useful tools like the legacy calculator, which shows you, what would 1% of your estate look like to charity and 99% be to your loved one. So you can see what that balance is and decide for yourself what you want to do. And then we've got financial advisors like yourself who are ready to speak with people about what that means in their personal context, planning out their estate and their charitable giving, what they might do with life insurance, for example, like leave a gift to charity like you did.
Yeah, it's an area of financial planning that most people don't think about. A lot of advisors say that they raise it all the time with their clients, but then when you interview the clients say, no, that wasn't brought up to me. But there are some unique opportunities. And I find that there's a lot of situations where somebody sells a business and you're going to write the biggest tax check you're going to write in your lifetime from the capital gain as a result of the sale of your successful business. And that when you're incurring that significant gain, it doesn't have to be a selling of a business, a sale of a real estate property or whatever. When you're incurring significant tax, you have an amazing opportunity to become a major philanthropist without necessarily planning to do that. There are opportunities that you're in a unique position to take advantage of that so many people are unaware of. So this campaign, we live in my view, Laurie, we live in the greatest country in the world. And it's not that we don't have challenges. We have challenges on so many different fronts, but we live in a great country. And one of the reasons it is a great country is because of the amazing work done by so many not-for-profits and charitable organizations in all sorts of sectors, from the environment to service clubs and their work, to our faith communities, to our healthcare and educational institutions. There's a long list of organizations that contribute so much to Canadian society and internationally that wouldn't be able to do it without the support of Canadians that support charities.
And I don't think we realize how many of our social services are actually provided by charities. When you take a look at hospitals and clinics, for example, that are really under the gun these days. I mean, a lot of that healthcare, a lot of those healthcare services are funded by charitable donations. Yeah. Education, for example, a lot of that is provided by donations, by us Canadians, essentially.
So the Willpower campaign's coming up. It's going to be launched on September the 1st or thereabouts of 2022. I encourage people to look for the campaign, to look at the website, willpower.ca, correct?
That's right.
And Laurie, thank you very much for joining me today on the Mayor of Money and enlightening us with regard to the Willpower campaign and the tremendous opportunity that people have to donate in different and unique ways to charitable organizations. Thank you.
My pleasure, Rick. Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Mayor of Money. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to the Mayor of Money podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. If you'd like to have a one-on-one discussion with Rick or have an idea for a particular guest or topic, contact him at rick@rickgoldring.com. See you next time on the Mayor of Money podcast.